Hey guys, Nate here again with another round of feedback or responses to your comments and questions. This one coming from Antz, Anton JG Verster from Facebook. This is a private message on the Big Nate 84 account that I got from him back on October 13th, 2015. He says, "Hey bro, I know you must probably get a million people messaging you. I was hoping to be lucky enough to get some more help, advice regarding live sound. God bless you, bro, all the way from South Africa." So that's really cool. The fact that you think a million people are messaging me, I'm not that popular, I'm not that cool, but I am willing to have a dialogue with anybody out there on the web who's wants to ask a question. I'm definitely willing to help you out. So very cool. And I also really like that you mentioned where you're from. You're from South Africa. I think that's so cool that I'm sitting here in Massachusetts in the United States, in my own little neighborhood, my little town. I upload these videos to YouTube and I can connect with people in South Africa. Like, that just blows my mind that we've got like a rapport. Or, you know, if I went to a convention or something and met you, you know, it'd be like, "Hey, yeah, you're Anton. I'm from South Africa. That's right." So anyway, so I wrote him back and said, "Yeah, sure. You know, got a question? Let me know. I'll answer it." So then he responded again on November 17th. He said, "Okay, here are my 3 questions." So he's got 3 questions here. "How do I know what is the best live mix for my front of house?" Meaning, how would I know what is a great balance between my instruments and vocals? And how would I know one isn't overpowering the other? Basically, how do I almost always get a CD mix almost every time? Hey brother, if there was a magic bullet to get a CD quality mix every time, I don't know it. It's tough. This is the art and science of crafting a mix. This is the question you asked is the best question to ask, because that is what it's all about. How do you get the best sounding mix? I think part of it is defining what a good mix is. What dBSPL works for your house? For what do you guys shoot for? For dBSPL, because you need to have some scientific reference for a ballpark of how loud your mix should be. That said, different frequencies are perceived at different loudness levels. It's not like from 20 hertz, you know, where the subwoofer is, all the way up to, you know, 20 kilohertz, where the real high-end tweeters are. It's not like there's an even response curve across the whole thing. So depending on what arrangement or ensemble you have up on stage, it becomes very complex very, very quick. So that is a great question to ask. How do I know it's a great balance? So the way in layman's terms, the way I try to explain it is, especially if you're, let's see, I'm not sure. I think you're running sound for a church. I think we've already agreed. Yeah, I think we've already established that this is for a church. So what I like to do, and this is completely arbitrary, but at least it puts a reference point in your mind. I like to have the lead vocals, whoever's leading, whoever's doing backup vocals. I like to try to get the vocals to really pop above the instruments, because you really need clarity of the words. You really need articulation to hear when a word ends, a word begins. So the way I explain it to new people is I like to have the vocals 10% louder. And I know that, you know, I should say dB or something like that, but just in my mind, what 10% louder means is that the vocals, the lead vocals, kind of sit above the mix, above everything else, generally. Unless you've got a guitar solo. And then you might want to cheat the fader up for the guitar solo, or, you know, what have you. So, you know, this is a very good question to ask, one that I probably can't fully answer here. So if you have more experience than me, again, I am passionate about great sounding audio. I am a lifelong student of audio. I'm learning all the time. I don't have all the answers. If you're watching this video and you know how to get a CD quality mix every time, please let the world know in the comments section. I would love to read that and hear what your take is. Let's move along. We've spent almost 5 minutes on the first question. Question number 2. I have been struggling with EQ, specifically vocals. Recently, I have been getting feedback from my pastor's mic. I know when it is high frequency feedback or low frequency feedback, but I can't seem to cancel out as I do not really know what to cut or boost. My mixer is an old school GB4 soundcraft. How can I get this problem under control? I even sometimes get feedback from my front of house speakers. Okay. So then I wrote back with another question and asked him, well, what microphones are you using? And he said he's using the Shure Beta 87A, great microphone, Shure SLX and Shure ULXD wireless, and a Countryman E6 Omni. So right off the bat, I would venture to guess that maybe the Omni is what's killing you here. Because you said the pastor's mic, he's probably wearing that E6 Omni right up on his head, and it's an omnidirectional mic. So what that means is the pickup pattern goes out in all directions, and you may already know this, but what you can do is, and that's a really nice mic, really expensive mic, you might actually be better served with a cardioid or hypercardioid version of the same one, so that pickup pattern isn't emanating in all directions, including up like where the speakers are, but it's a hypercardioid version of that microphone. It's just going to pick straight, you know, it's going to shoot kind of straight out and kind of reject sounds from the back and above and below. Generally, not evenly across all frequencies, but in general, it's going to be, you know, 6 dB down outside of this cardioid pickup pattern. So that might be something to try if you have room in your budget for, if you're planning your 2016 budget right now. My best recommendation is try to go for a hypercardioid version of that E6 if you can get the money for it. The other thing is speaker placement. If your pastor's walking around right in front of the main speaker, that's going to be tough. Yeah, that's a tough one to manage. But if you can somehow control the traffic patterns, or where the speaker habitually walks on stage, and kind of prepare yourself and just have a conversation about, hey, as a sound guy, I'm having a really hard time when you stand right here in front of the speaker. Do you think maybe, like, you know, we could like set up like a little boundary where you just mentally won't go beyond this point, and then we'll be safe? So that's another thing. But before you do that, before you even have a chat, I would go to your room, I'd get that mic fired up, I'd turn the system on, and I'd just put that mic up on a mic stand, even though it's like an over-the-ear mic, or if it's a Beta 87. I'm not sure if you're having problems with your Beta 87. I don't think you should be having problems with the Beta 87, because that does a pretty good job at rejecting, again, like rejecting sound from the back and from the sides. But so I'd get the mics in the room, I'd start turning the system up, and I'd find out what the threshold of feedback is. So just nothing even going to that mic, just turn the fader up until you, and you're there by yourself, it's a controlled situation, just cheat the fader up until you start to hear a little, you know, it's just right on the threshold of feedback. And if you can get your hands on a real-time frequency analyzer, I know like GarageBand has one built in. If you can bring a laptop with GarageBand or just something, so you can see the spectrum and you can see what's happening in the room, you'll be able to see like, oh wow, at like, you know, at like 500, I'm getting this like really weird resonance going on. And what you can do is you can apply some system-wide EQ at 500 to kind of bump that down, or you can create a default EQ look, or default EQ scene, or, you know, whatever you call it, just a default EQ for the pastor's mic that, you know, the problematic areas, and you automatically take those down every single time. You could do that with a graphic EQ or a parametric EQ, but really try to hone in. I mean, I know you said you know the difference between low and high, but really hone in on what is the exact frequency that's feeding back, and just cut that by 6 dB or so and see what happens. Just like a little notch. You don't have to like scoop out the whole low end or the whole high end, but just try to scoop out those problematic areas if you can identify them. And the last question real quick, last but not least, is it really true that weather can affect your entire sound? Yes, it is true that weather can affect sound. Sound is changes in pressure. Weather is changes in pressure. We've got low pressure systems, high pressure systems. I don't think you need to worry about it a whole lot, but the speed of sound does travel differently at sea level compared to at, 10,000 feet, because it's all a pressure thing. So anyway, I'm gonna get cut off. This video is getting over 10 minutes. Wow, I can't believe it's still recording. Usually it cuts off at 10 minutes. I thought it was gonna cut me off right there. But anyway, buddy, Antz, Anton, JG, Verster, all the way from South Africa. Thank you for taking the time to write to me, and I hope you find this information helpful. Let me know if anything helped you out here. All right, man. See you later.